Recording in progress.
Yes, namaste everyone. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes. So we are on chapter 4 and we are seeing verse 19, 20. 20 we have completed. So we have to see verse 21. From verse 19 to 24, I'm repeating for the sake of recollection. Bhagwan is giving us the glorification, stuti of Brahma Gyani. The reason, the purpose is that knowing that beforehand, knowing it, is going to inspire us, is going to help us recognize what we are also seeking. It helps us to appreciate that the yearning that one holds within oneself, and it's universal. It has nothing to do with gender, caste, community, citizenship, or as long as you're a human being, that's the only qualification. A human being is the only qualification. It's universal to all human beings. What? That yearning that one holds within oneself, the recognition of that yearning. What is this yearning really that I have? What do I want? And it boils down. Most of us are not introspective enough. We don't have the leisure enough in as adults. When our faculties are available to think, we don't have the leisure to think. We are too preoccupied making our ends and our relations meet and conducting life with least possible accidents as possible. You know what we mean as accidents means with least possible clash. Everyone's trying to find a method, a measure, a way in which one is able to conduct life as peacefully as possible, that does not leave us much leisure, mental, much peace mentally to be able to think, what do I really want? It's not something that we will discover by occasional thinking. It's a recognition of a universal restlessness as a human being that everyone holds, irrespective of the era as well. So, whether you were born in 6th century BC or you will be born in 2050 or 3020, wherever, it will be the same. Symptom will be the same. You find yourself, whoever finds themselves in a human body, calls themselves a human being, a human individual, is bound to feel restless, is disturbed from within. Whatever they get, whatever we find, whatever we have, never seems to give us what we are yearning. And what we are yearning doesn't become clear to us because it needs a constant reflection, a constant observation in a very neutral state, above our likes and dislikes, above our rag dvesh, above our memories, above our egoistic holdings, rising above that in our perception. When I am in an observant mode, observing constantly that yearning, what is it pointing to? Shastra makes this immediately available to me. That's the yearning you're looking for. It's like when we are lost in a desert in at night, and a passerby says, if you want to find your way, what is the way to find? It's dark. Look above. There are stars, billions of them. There is one star that is shining. Where is it heading? Where does it indicate? What is that star which is your direction that it is pointing you to? That's the North Star. That North Star tells you that's the north direction. That is where north is. In the same way, in these verses, even in a portion like Sthita Prajna, wherever in Shastra, not just Gita, wherever a portion highlights, does stuti of Atma Gyan and Atma Gyani, definitely Shankaracharya in his Bhashyams makes it very, very clear there is no difference between the two. Atma Gyan and Atma Gyani are not two distinct things. Atma Gyani is Atma Gyan, Atma Gyan is Atma Gyani. Atma Gyani is with reference to us in avidya, that we look at it, at a person as a person, and so we say, oh, here is a Gyani. That's it. But from the reference point of the person, that knowledge alone is what is their sthiti, their bhav. So by giving us these lakshanas, stuti of this, it's making it available to us as a North Star. That's your yearning. That's the direction in which you will find your completeness. That's the direction where your restlessness will cease ultimately, finally. That's the place what you are desiring, and not recognizing it, you extend yourself in every direction in the world, and then of course some met, some not met, and the cycle of samsara perpetuates. So 18th verse was kind of giving us this characteristic of gyan. What is samyak gyan? A gyan, knowledge which is not going to change in time. Having arrived at that knowledge will remain changeless. That knowledge will be your permanent base. That knowledge doesn't change. Like, for example, When I acquire any knowledge with reference to the world of the objects of the world, knowledge of the world, knowledge of objects in the world, any knowledge in the world, what is its characteristic? Knowledge in the world, knowledge of the world. What is the characteristic of such a knowledge?
It changes.
It changes. So, how am I to depend on it? The very beginning, I know that it will change. Yeah. That change means it will last a few decades, it can last a few centuries, but it is not permanent. Things will constantly change. That changing knowledge versus, let me rephrase this, that changing knowledge on which I depend for my fulfillment or whatever I'm yearning, I think I'm yearning, I cannot say it is going to last because it is going to change. But what is Samyak Gyan? By word, Samyak means it's comprehensive now, it's changeless now. A knowledge which is not going to change in time. It is not going to change in circumstance. It's not going to change in avastha. It's not even going to change from decade to decade, era to era, from generation to generation. Whoever has arrived at this knowledge, that knowledge is your resting point, is your sthan, from where now no more changes, no more fluctuations, no more yearning, no more searching, no more wanting, no more avoiding, no more running away, no more hiding, no more of these extremes that a human being finds themselves constantly maneuvering to find that little happiness or little whatever yearning they have. So that knowledge, 18th verse, Samyak Gyan, Atma, oneself. Forget the word Atma. What does Atma mean? Oneself. What oneself? Knowledge of oneself. What knowledge of oneself? That knowledge of oneself which will be changeless. Today, my knowledge of oneself, myself, is it changing or changeless? If my knowledge of myself, I conclude that I change, then that is not Samyak Gyan. Then that is where my karta, bhokta, bhav, my ahankar, my individuality is resting. I have identified with it. मैंने जोड़ लिया है अपने आप को. I have united myself to that which is changing. That which is changing, Shastra says, where do you place it? You place it on what is changing. And what is changing? Body is changing. Thoughts are changing. So when my sense of identity, my knowledge of myself, मेरा ज्ञान मुझको लेके, my perception of myself, if I analyze or if I observe or if I think, I recollect, I recognize, and I say it is changing, it is a clear clue that it is identification with the changing aspect of creation. That is what Bhagavan says is my Prakriti, is my Maya. That's gunas based. My Prakriti has gunas. So based on those gunas are changing. If you have identified with it, your experience is also changing. That is not Samyak Gyan. That where there is no kriya, no action, no kartritvam, no change, that knowledge of yourself, when you can say, yes, this is me, and that me concept, even when we say that, we are imagining it at the moment because in my statement, this is me. There is a division. That one who knows himself, herself as free of all this change, that is Atma, Avikriya, Akarta, and that Atma knowledge abiding in which one is, he is the one, The context here is after gaining that knowledge, abiding it, having Phalashruti is means what is the gain of that knowledge? He is freed of all karmas, all duties, all responsibilities. Kritsna karma krit. He's done whatever was to be done. Once he's done whatever has to be done, rest of his life, now how does he live? Now what does he do? If he was before gaining the knowledge already in a state of karma, means he was in pravritti, was working, had a kingdom like Janaka had, is a grahastha, and is also gaining gyan. Means all of us will fall into this category. We are all grahasthas or we are all adults in a world of activity and also gaining knowledge. In the process of gaining knowledge, if one of us, while hearing the knowledge, listening, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasan happens, and that North Star works for us. What is this Shastra talking? And that vision shifts to myself. And I recognize, oh, that's my Swabhav. That's me. That means a lot of Mananam must have been done in the past. Now, on Shravanam itself, when Atma Vidya was shared, given by Acharyas, by the Gurus, and it suddenly awakened a perception in myself, a recognition of who I am. Swabhav se. That person, after gaining knowledge, do they continue to work or are they now free? Because the 18th verse said they have done everything that needs to be done. So, Shastra's dispelling these doubts that can arise in us. Such a person has a choice. They can give up karma, or if for some reason they are not able to give up karma, means they are now continuing. If they were a grahast, they learnt like all of us and they established through Mananam and Nididhyasan with Chitta Shuddhi, established in Atma Vidya. Grahasti is still continuing. Okay, we have all reached almost, some of us, okay, there may be exceptions to us, but say we have all reached our middle age. And by the time we have reached our middle age, let's give ourselves a little more time. And okay, now Atmanisht, you can't suddenly say, I'm walking out of the house. I have children, I have grandchildren, I have whatever, whatever. So if such a Jnani continues to stay in their own continuity of whatever they were doing before Jnanam, he said, Vivekaha prak. Shankara said in the Bhashyam, Vivekaha prak. Before gaining that knowledge, if he was continuing to do what he was, then automatically here, Vivekaha prak. He continues to do what he was doing, then why is he doing it? By sheer prarabdha karma. If he is not able to give up or he doesn't want to, not able to give up, he chooses not to give up. Then his karma is only kama sankalpa varjitaha. There is no desire in his karma. There is no sankalpa in his karma. Sankalpa is always for a certain specific result. There is a kartritva ka enforcement. You are locking it. I will do such a thing for such a thing up to a certain time. That pratigya, in a way, taken, a firm resolve. But why do you take a firm resolve? Obviously, for a particular gain. So, such a person is freed of Kam and Sankalp. If he's free of Kam and Sankalp, how does he do karma? What motivates him to do karma? How is a karma generated? Because for any karma to do, you have to identify with the organs of action. शरीर से मन से वाणी से तो आप जुड़ोगे तो वो जुड़ने का प्रयोजन क्या है? What will make you identify with this body? Say, okay, let me get up and do this. Always, 100% of the time. There will be no exception. It'll never ever be for my sake, I will do karma. Once there is Atma Gyan, invariably their karma is for Loka Sangraha. If they are in the family, they may do it for the sake of family. If they are in a continuity of wherever, whatever work they were doing before, they'll continue. If they were a chairman, they'll continue to be a chairman, etc., etc. Loka Sangraha Artham. That is a pravritta jnani. That was what is said in the 20th verse, right? Yes, 20th verse. Now, in the 21st verse, now he talks about the one who has chosen. Once the Gyan is there, he has no more base of karma left because by sheer knowledge is able to see the falsity of karma's realm. कर्मों से मुक्ति नहीं मिलती, उसको ज्ञान से वो दिख रहा है कर्म का कोई प्रयोजन नहीं है. There is no use left for an action. So they do not enter into an action realm at all. So exceptions are given sometimes right from childhood, like we had Ramana, etc. Shankara himself, from childhood only bringing a Purvam with them, they were highly reflective. And there were just a little missing component of Atmagyan, which in that very early childhood stage, they pursue it and it's complete. So by the time they come into their teens or early, early adulthood, they already understand there is no use of getting into the realm of action. So they want to bypass karma. How do they bypass karma? Karmas we know is Vedic and Laukik. Laukik is for Sharir Yatra. Nowadays, it has taken the major portion of one's time in society. It's not easy just maintaining your own lifestyle or your own life. So, Laukik karma has taken a huge uh, place and has displaced the time and energy that one spent for Vedic karma. Vedic karmas, you could do Nishkam or Sakam. That to do a Vedic karma, after adult age, most of the karmas required you to have a partner in your life. Most of these karmas were uh, for a grahastha. Grahastha. For a grahastha means married. Married how? Legally married. Not on paper, not on court. Married in the Vaidika way. You know, through that fire, invoking the fire ritual and making your offerings and taking the vows of क्या था जीना यहाँ मरना यहाँ whatever it takes now, we have to go through the whole cycle, that kind of a resolve. That grahastha ashram purpose used to be I am entering this because I identify certain needs in myself as an individual. Whatever my childhood stage was, I haven't found the independence to say I can live the rest of my life on reflection, on Loka Sangraha. If I'm of an active person, doing Loka Sangraha, and otherwise in Atma Gyan, I can enjoy. I didn't find myself, I find myself with desires. I find myself with want of security. Find myself with a desire for attachments, with fulfillments. I seek through them. When I am aware of those seekings, Shastra says enter Grahasthashram because these desires are going to be an obstruction for reflection. आपको विद्या दे भी दी जाएगी तो भी ये इच्छाएं आपकी बाधक बनेंगी. They will not allow you to be reflective. As a result of which, certain people, most people will enter Grahasthashram. But those who saw, what is the purpose of this now? I don't need, I don't find in myself the desire for such attachments or for special relations and yearnings and etc. These people want to bypass it. They have neither the yearning for Laukik karma nor for any Vaidika karma and the phal that it can give, even in the future, because there is the context. Now they have Atmagyan. I hope this gets conveyed clearly. Once there is Atmagyan, karma and its realm is nishprayojan for them. So they want to avoid the realm. So they become nivritta jnani. They bypass and go straight into the realm of sannyas. Sannyas means they may or may not take physical sannyas, but mentally they are now a sannyasi. That is firm, that is unshaken. Such a one, nivritta jnani, is what the 20th verse and the 21st verse are talking about. Such a jnani who has given up karmas, how does he manage? Karma phala sangam, tyaktva, given up, chod ke. What did he give up? Karmasu abhimanam, the abhiman in karmas, and also phala sangam, given up the sangam, attachment to the to phal. As a result of which, nitya triptaha, ever content. Ever content means, when can you be ever content? Nirakanksha, having no akanksha, having no expectations. From nowhere, from no one, never. No expect, because expectation is a huge cause of disturbance. No expectations. Why don't they have any expectations? It's not a practice they are doing. In the sthiti in which they are complete. There is no need for an expectation. No desire is rising. So no desire rises, so no desire has to be met. So there's no expectation. And if there is no expectation, then nirashrayaha. They also have no dependence on any karma, realm, means for it. Any means for fulfillment. Dependency on it. Nirashrayaha. For any of the future gains. दृष्ट अदृष्ट फल के साधन की कोई आश्रय नहीं है. No dependence on it. Such a one, karma abhipravrittaha api, even if they are engaged in karma, even if they do whatever karma they do, naiva kinchit karoti saha, they are not doing anything. And this also applies to pravritta jnani. If this is the bhav with which you are identified with the body to do karma, whether you are doing lot of karmas or you are doing very little karma, either way, if this is the bhav, this is the gyan, this is the avastha that you recognize, then in that avastha, naiva kinchit karoti saha. They are doing nothing at all. And so they may continue. The first part was uh, the first part of the verse was Pravritta Jnani. The second part is the Nivritta Jnani. They may continue for the sake of Lokasangraha, or they may just continue to avoid being um, uh, looked to set a bad example, to avoid setting a bad example by those who know. शिष्ट आचार जो करते हैं, उनकी नजरों में you don't want to set a bad example, so they may continue to do work for that sake. पूर्ववत कर्मणि अभि निष्क्रिय आत्मा दर्शन संपन्नत्वात्, because of having the निष्क्रिय आत्मा दर्शन नैव किंचित करोति सः. Uh, I think my numbers are so bad. 20th verse. Did I say 20th verse was Nivritta Gyani? If I said that, I'm making a correction. 20th verse is Pravritta Gyani. 21st verse now is Nivritta Gyani. 21 and 22 is Nivritta Gyani. And what is he saying? So far we are okay. Any questions up to now? Then we'll move on.
Yes,
Only
Diptiji.
in the
Which means basically the difference is only on the external.
yes,
What people see is what creates the
yes,
difference. Otherwise, there is no difference.
yes, absolutely. He's going to use that word at some point. I've forgotten where now, but in one of the places, one of the acharyas means either Madhusudanji or Shankaraji has said uh, what is seen from outside means the kartritva aropanam that others are making on them. When others see them do something, so they are doing the adhyaropanam of kartritvam on that, on the jnani. But their sthiti is the same internally. Correct. Right. So now we move on to the 21st verse. And what is the 21st verse? Nirashihi. Nirashihi yat chit atma. Nirashihi yat chit atma. I think we should chant this once. Someone wants to chant?
May I?
Yeah, please. Thank you. Twice.
Ji. निराशीर्यच्चित्तात्मा त्यक्तसर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम् निराशीर्यच्चित्तात्मा त्यक्तसर्वपरिग्रहः शारीरं केवलं कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
Just one correction. Nirashir yatta. Ta is full. Nirashir yatta chittatma. You said Nirashir yat chit atma. So the takar is full. Hindi we say it as ta, but in Sanskrit, full.
निराशीर्यत्
Ta
चित्तात्.
yatta
अच्छा,
chittatma. Nirashir yatta
अच्छा,
chittatma.
got it. Yes.
Hmm.
निराशीर्यत चित्तात्मा. जी, thank you.
Right. So here now we are seeing uh, such a jnani, pravritta or nivritta. Here context again now, nivritta more. But from the standpoint of jnani, it doesn't matter. So we'll stick to jnani. What about him? He is nirashihi. That is his first description. We saw above that he has no akanksha. He has no asha. Nirashihi. Shankara says, Nirgataha ashishaha yasmat saha nirashihi. This is a compound word which is referring to the person. If we say that person is kind, that person is angry, what are we saying really? Or that person is good, etc. Let's stick to kind. The person is kind. When we say the person is kind, we are referring to kindness as a quality, but referring that quality to the person. Person we are qualifying as kind. In this compound word, as it is given in Sanskrit, the nirashihi word is referring to the person who has no ashihi, who has no asha, freed of any asha. Such a one, what more? Yatta. Yata, he says here, sanyata. Sanyata means controlled, has control. यम नियम संयम, संयम है उसमें, is controlled, but control on what? चित्त आत्मा, यत चित्त atma, referring again to a person who is self controlled with reference to chitta. And Shankara says, Charyaji says, chitta means antakaranam, has control on antakaranam. Antakaranam, mind. Our own impulses, our own likes and dislikes, our own desires, our own past impressions that we are carrying, which makes us impulsively driven to the world of objects or driving ourselves away from certain things. So, um, we're, getting attracted and getting uh, avoiding it. What were those two words that we often use? Moving towards something and moving away from something. Sukha prapti, dukkha nivritti. Those impulses that we have. Controlled in antakaranam. Antakaranam control kya hota hai? What is, in our Vedantic terms, we have all gone through the basic study by now. What is antakaranam control? What are the definitions, or what is the characteristic of an antakaranam control? In sadhana chatushtayam,
मन की शुद्धि,
man ki shuddhi. So what is that control? Shama, dama.
दम,
Shama, dama, and titiksha, sama, samadhan. ना? Those qualities. That means चित्त जिसका शुद्ध हो गया है, संयम करके उसका चित्त अब शुद्ध है, such a yata chittatma. And what is atma? A rare meaning here, but Shankaracharya gives it as bahya karya karana sanghataha. The external body means sense organs. So Shama and Dama, the one who has control over the body and their own antakaranam, tau ubhau, both of them, the one who has yatau, sanyatau, yena saha, such a one. He is the one who nirashihi, first characteristic. Yatta chittatma, second characteristic. The one who has control over his own organs of action, perception, and mind. And our minds, we know, going into the future, going into the past, holding on to our own unwanted things, and dwelling on things which are now dead and gone, and dissipating our time and energy and our life force. Identified with the body and identified with these desires, which is making a fool out of us, making us go into avenues which are absolutely nothing but shadows of of uh, of just shadows appearing as if they are real, and we go run after them, we pursue them, we waste the most important part, which is our own life force, our own life energy, chasing these things, because shastra's guidance is what we need to follow, but somehow we miss it, or we don't have the energy, or we don't have the strength or conviction or shraddha, or we didn't have the opportunity. A lot of people don't have the opportunity of knowing these values. So whatever be the reason, Shankaracharya says that person, he has full control over it. Yena saha, again, chitta atma is a compound word referring to such a one. Moreover, what? Tyakta. Tyakta means given up, abandoned. Tyakta, chhodkar. The word itself is chhodkar. Tyaj, tyaj, tyagna, त्याग means त्यक्त, छोड़कर. क्या छोड़ा? सर्व परिग्रह. Parigraha means everything that is acquired. इकट्ठा करना. Everything. Sarva means everything. All that is acquired. What is acquired? Why do we acquire things? All our homes. What is one thing that we always think we need more? Is space. Which space? We have big rooms, drawing rooms, bedrooms, washrooms. Everything is big. But one space that we always think wish it was bigger is the anybody? Which space we think should be bigger? Hanji?
Bedroom.
Okay. Which other? Think in terms of
Drawing.
okay.
Drawing.
In terms of the context,
Kitchen.
no. Context is parigraha. The context is accumulating. Ah, okay. I guess not everybody has it. Otherwise, you would have recognized it straight away. The storeroom, a place to store things.
Hoarding.
Hoarding, exactly. Because we think that it's going to be useful tomorrow. Let me not throw this today. It may be useful tomorrow. Let me keep this. You always find a place in the house which is not useful today, but with the hope that it's going to be useful another day. You are all storage space, absolutely. You always think that there should be a place at home where I can store things that I may need when I need. As a grasta, it's not wrong. So, my only point of that example is sarva parigraha, the tendency that we hold with respect to what all I may want tomorrow, or hold on to old things, past things. So many parents hold on to their children's clothes and children's toys and want to give it to their grandchild. It's all beautiful. There is no problem with all of this. But here we're talking about the context, is what we have to remember. It's not a judgment on all this. The context is such a person doesn't hold on to anything. He has minimums that he wants to keep. And even minimum, as in minimum, whatever is required. And it's fascinating that once one takes on to this life, even as a grahast, you realize that too many things are not really necessary. We may still have them, we keep them for whatever reason. But context, anyway, is not us. That's a practice for us. He has tyakta sarva parigraha. Tyaktah sarvaha parigraha yena saha. Again, a compound verse referring to that person who's given up his all possessions. सब कुछ जो इकट्ठा करते हैं हम, he has a spirit of tyagna, even if he has them. Remember always the example of Janaka. He is a king, yet when he's told that his kingdom is on fire, he doesn't budge from continuing to listen to the upadesh that is going on Atma Vidya. Why? Because he's not holding on to his kingdom in the mind. But all the other co-sadhaks had got up and rushed to save the little belongings that they had. Why did they rush to save those? Because they were holding those things in their mind. There were very few things they had compared to what a king has in his palace. But he has, in spite of having things, he is ready to give them up then and there. अगले पल, क्योंकि वो कभी जुड़े मेरे हैं करके वो कभी हुए नहीं. You have not owned it as yours. But those who start seeing small things as theirs, mine, मैं, ममा, अहम जब वस्तुओं में और चीजों में इकट्ठा होता है, all these feelings, when they start attaching us to things and objects and people, they start binding us. The other example I've always given is Gulliver's Travels Tales. You know, that huge fellow Gulliver. I still, it's a story you read so early in your childhood, but that story leaves an impact. It conveys the message very well. There were Lilliputians that held him down. Hundreds and thousands of Lilliputians can hold down a Gulliver, who all it needs to do is lift, and all the shackles can be dropped. But he cannot, because of hundreds and thousands of those that are tying him down. That is the parigraha that we have, which ties us down. Small, small things tie us down. He is sarva parigraha. He is freed of all of them. So then what? Now comes this beautiful point. Shariram kevalam karma kurvan. शरीर की स्थिति को बनाए रखने के लिए केवल उतना कर्म करते रहता है. कुर्बान is in the sense of continues to do. What does he continue to do? He does only those karmas that are sustaining the body, that are useful for the sustenance of the body. Because, say, the context of the verse, as acharyas would put it, is nivritta jnani, sannyasi, supposing. What does he need for karma that he needs for survival, for his sustenance? The fundamental cloth, shelter, food. That much work he's allowed to do. And if we talk of another one, I don't like to make this distinction of grahast and sannyasi, because sannyasi is anyone. कोई भी हो सकता है. ज्ञानी ज्ञानी की बात हो रही है. So whoever that person is, there's no need to complicate our knowledge by too many words. Whoever that person is given the sanction. He himself frees himself from all those karmas that we involve ourselves in parigraha, and in maintenance of relations, and in maintenance of properties, and our own acquisitions and preservations, in such way that we spend our time with, energy with a hope that they are going to be useful for us tomorrow. He does only what is needed because there is a correction happened within, and that correction is all these have to be left. You know, on this, if you watch, there are certain channels on YouTube huge mansions and huge places abandoned. So I hit upon one recently. It gives a very beautiful pratipaksha bhavna. I have been reveling in that. Such a beautiful huge mansion. It was full of life, and now it's abandoned. There are objects still there, and they were expensive objects. They were class. The person must have had a taste to acquire them, a subtle taste, a refined taste, with reference to acquiring objects of the world. But what happened? परिग्रह में जो सारा वक्त निकल गया. Is there any verse anybody can remember from Bhaj Govindam? What does Bhaj Govindam say? All your life will be spent in parigraha, or in acquiring laukik jnanam. What will happen ultimately? Ultimately, life will end it. All this acquisition will be left here itself. Shariram kevalam karma kurvan. He does only karmas that are meant for sustaining the body. That much. Food, what does he do? He has to go to, they have their rules. If you have taken a physical state of sannyas, Traditionally speaking, I don't know if it is still held as a discipline anymore, but traditionally speaking, there were sannyasis who just took to the following it very strictly, where they were allowed to collect their food from 5 homes in a day. And whatever they got, they were supposed to just sustain themselves on that, because Shastra Drishti, this body's purpose is now fulfilled for you. If one has gained Jnanam, now it's just a matter of prarabdha. Death anyway has to come, the body has to go anyway. So, too much importance to feed the body, to give it energy, is not needed. So, they reduce all the intakes. As a discipline, they do it. And they're advised by the Shastra also to uphold the Jnananishta avastha. Kevalam shariram karma. Only that much karma. Even if they continue to do, kurvan, karte rehte hain, they continue to do that, na apnoti kilbisham. They do not gain any kilbisham. Kilbisham is uh, the cause of bandhan. Shankara says, bandha apatakadvat. Apadakatvat. The cause of bondage means they don't gain any punya papam both, which means they are muktaha, they are freed from samsar. Mhm. Such a one who is a jnani, who has that atma anatma anatma atma drishti, वो निराशी ही है, वो यत चित्तात्मा है, वो त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह है. और ऐसा व्यक्ति, ऐसा ज्ञानी, व्यक्ति कहना इज रॉन्ग, ऐसा ज्ञानी केवल शरीर के लिए जो कर्म कर भी रहा है, वो कर्म उसको बांधता नहीं है. द पॉइंट इज दैट कर्मा does not give them bondage, does not create a cycle for them, even if they are doing karmas for the sake of sustenance of the body. Clear, I think. I don't know if we need to do the bhashyam. Do you want me to do the bhashyam? Does it help in reinforcing?
Yes, Dipti.
Okay, fine.
That would
Let's
be
do
very
this.
nice.
Okay,
Yes.
great, great. Let's do that. Nirashihi, the first word in the moolam. Nirgataha, chala gaya. Gataha means gone. Nirgataha means withdrawn. What withdrawn? Ashishaha. All ashas. Uh, Gone from whom yasmat saha nirashihi. That's the person. From whom all expectations are withdrawn. See how beautiful the meaning can change. If you say chala gaya, you think it's something that goes away from us. हमें अपने से दूर करना है. Expectations को हमें अपने से दूर करना है. That's what we would think as overcoming if I say I will have no expectations. Nirkataha means I have withdrawn my expectations. How beautiful is the change of a meaning? Just one word. And that's the language beauty, which you can't communicate in any other language. Nirgataha. Gataha is gone. Nirgataha means well gone, withdrawn, within, beyond. It's like, पार हो गया जिसके जिसके
It seems like one is being done willingly and the other one is possibly being done.
हाँ, one is a spontaneous avastha. Correct. Naturally coming from you. No expectations come from you because they've all been withdrawn. And the other is yes, willingly practicing it. Correct. Forcibly, though, is absolutely, out of context. You
Usually expectation मतलब जल जाती है ज्ञान से या
हाँ.
विड्रॉ कर मतलब विड्रॉल का मतलब ये भी तो होता है कि वो वापस आ सकती है.
Very good point. Yeah. No, here ज्ञान ने उसको withdraw कर दिया. ज्ञान में जल गई ना. So here nirgataha means is completely gone. सो ज्ञान से ही कर्म जल गया, कर्म फल जल गया. उसका फल क्या हुआ? What is the effect of that? The effect is now he is freed of all expectation. That's the point to be conveyed.
So the others' expectation.
Others expecting
Mother,
from him,
yeah.
others
What
expect he'll
happens
take it as
from
karma, as his loka sangraha. If it's a
Actually,
falling into a duty, he'll do it
actually. Okay.
because he's not dependent on it. No.
जी धन्यवाद.
So,
कीर्ति जी,
हम्म,
ये जो ज्ञानाग्नि में जो जलना है, ये मतलब ये जो बहुत बड़ा पेड़ दिखता है हमें संसार का, उसका जो बीज हुआ, जब वो बीज समेत जल जाए, तो ये बीज जो है, ये अहम कर्ता का बीज है.
ये बीज अविद्या का बीज है. अविद्या के बीज से कर्ता भाव बहुत बीज है. सो ज्ञान अग्नि से जो जल गया वो वैसे तो अविद्या जल गई, और अविद्या जल गई मीन्स ज्ञान है, और एक बार ज्ञान है तो अब कर्ता ही नहीं है, तो वो कर्ता भी सारा जल गया. सो इन दैट सेंस दैट सीड इज बर्न्ड. So now continuing, where were we? Karaka, no, we were here. Nirashihi. Then yata chittatma. He's explaining that word. First, he's explaining chitta. Chitta means antakaranam. That's the first meaning, as we have already explained. Atma is the second word he's explaining, which is bahyaha karya karana sanghataha. Karya is effect, karana is instrument, cause and effect का जो संघात है means this body and senses is called karya karana sanghat. Organs of perception, organs of action, mind and intellect together is called karya karana sanghat. It's another word commonly used through bhashyams and explanations to describe the body, refer to the body. Karya karana sanghata, tau, both of them. What are the both? Chittam and Atma. Antakaranam and Karyakarana Sanghata. Both. Tau Ubhau. Both of them. Api also. Yattau. That Yatta Chittatma, that word Yatta, is done in dual number because it's referring to two. Antakaran and Karyakarana. Sanghat. So Yattau Sanyattau Yena Saha. That Yena Saha is telling of this compound. संयतः, जिससे संयम किया हुआ है on the antakaran and the body. So shama, dama, etc. Then comes the next word, tyakta sarva parigrahaha. What is it? Tyaktaha, giving up, sarva parigrahaha, yena saha. Who has given up all possessions. That is why they would leave their homes. That was the purpose, even up to 100 years, 70 years, just before independence. Also, it was a very active lifestyle. Before this culture started getting changed by certain political um, agendas. But this lifestyle of allowing people to give up all this and pursue Atma Vidya, society had infrastructure. So there were ashrams, there were rest houses, there were on the roads, you had shelter homes, you go to villages, people would feed you. As a part of dharmas, this was a societal opportunity, availability given to someone who wanted to pursue this gyan full time. So, tyakta sarva parigraha, they would leave it and go. Say Shankaracharya, he left home. Ramana left home. Left home is sarva parigraha, full engagement now to that pursuit. But here we are talking about the one who is a Jnani. As a Jnani, where is the question of holding on to anything? Jab Sarvam is Atma, the one who has the knowledge that all this is nothing but Atma, is nothing but Brahman, है ना? And that I am, Purnam, अब वो क्या अपने छोटे छोटे आनंद में बैठेगा, वो तो आत्मा आनंद में रहता है. So he abandons, he gives up all this. येन सह शारीरम, शरीर स्थिति मात्रा प्रयोजनम, only for the sake of, let me do this. Only for the sake of sharira sthiti matra prayojanam, kevalam, keval word, only for the sake of actions done only for the sake of sustenance of the body. Why am I underlining it? Because we'll come to that point soon. Hear this again, because a lot of questions can come up in a thinking person. अगर आप इसको ठीक से सुन रहे हो तो मन में प्रश्न आएगा. केवल वो कर्म जो शरीर की स्थिति के लिए प्रयोजित है, doing only those karmas which will help sustain the body, only those karma. Tatra api, those also, tatra, that also, abhimana varjatam, even those karmas are done without any abhiman. Karma kurvan, karma karte hain, those two words are in the moolam. Na apnoti, also in the moolam. Na prapnoti, nahi milta. Apnoti word means prapnoti. So apnoti usually has a sense of reaching. But throughout Shastra, you will see apnoti, immediately Shankara puts it as prapnoti. Because apnoti can give the sense of, I have to reach moksha. I have to reach that goal out, as if it's in the future tense. I have to go somewhere. I have to become something. I have to reach somewhere. I have to attain that siddhi. I have to attain that state. That means apnoti. But that apnoti, and there is a whole grammatical reason behind it. But here, being Gita, it's taken in a short. Shankara gives a straight meaning. Do not mistake apnoti as something to go and reach and attain. Apnoti means prapnoti. Gain. No, you will not gain anything. You will not gain what? Kilbisham. Again in the Moolam word, kilbisham. So what is kilbisham? Pap. Sorry. Papam. And when do you get papam? Anisht. What sort of a papam? Beautiful. Anishta rupam cha dharmam. Anishta rupam means what should not have been desired. अनिष्ट रूप, जिसका इच्छा नहीं होती है, मतलब पाप कर्म है वो. धर्मम also, even dharma karmas. Why? Because dharma karmas will give you punyam, and punyam is also one of the phal that will bind you. So such a person who does only karmas for the sake of sustenance of the body, such a people doing those karmas neither get punya phalam nor get papa phalam. Dharmaha api, so Shankaracharya is explaining why dharmam, papam should be only anishta rupam. Why should even dharmam be included as papam, drishti? Because Shankaracharya says dharmaha api, mumukshoho, for a mumukshu, for the one who is a desirer of liberation, freedom, जो मुक्ति चाहता है संसार से, I would qualify to say जो मुक्ति चाहता है शरीर आत्मा शरीर मन से तदात्म्यम की मुक्ति चाहता है, The one who wants freedom from this tadatmyam that we have, this oneness that we have, this identification that we have with the body, the one who wants freedom from that, such a mumukshu, dharmaha api kilbisham eva. उसके लिए धर्म भी किल्बिशम के जैसा ही है. क्यों? Why is it like papam? Bandha apatakatvat. Because it is a reason for, it causes, due to it being the reason of bandhan. Bandhan to what? Punya phalam. Punya phalam means you will be, imagine all the beautiful punya phalams. Best punya phalam. If you've done a lot of good karmas through the sharir, through your man and vak, you have earned punya phal. What is going to be the result of it? Result is you will have to bogo it. And ये बहुत जो जो वेदांत का ट्रेडिशन में, जो संप्रदाय में ज्ञान गुरु से शिष्य को जो मिलता है, you are given this also along with it, that there will be some times in your life that punya also manifests. When punya also manifests, if you resist it, that means your good earning, if you are resisting, if it has fallen into your life, just as pap, you are supposed to just be internally detached, punya also be internally detached and let it go away. It will exhaust itself. Punya bhi everlasting nahi hai. वो भी खत्म होगा. So if a good phal has come your life, if a punya phal has manifested, has pakod means it has matured. If a punya phal has matured, it is giving you something. If your drishti is an Atma Vidya, remain true to that. Punya and pap both become indifferent to it. Indifferent in the sense of अपनी दृष्टि उन पे भोग में मत डालना. They'll all pass away, because for a mumukshu, even punya phalam is a cause of bondage. So, as whatever fructifies, that is how they remain samatvam. The good time also will not shake them beyond a time, beyond a point. The bad time also doesn't shake them. Good and bad both will not shake them. Both will not involve them. Both, they will not jump mentally into that experience of the good or the bad, because karma phal, let it go away as karma phal. Karma phal में कोई नित्यत्वम नहीं है. No karma phal is nityam. Therefore, the good and the bad both have to go. So resist not. Bandhapat, they have, the mumukshu has that knowledge. Therefore, tasmat tabhyam muktaha bhavati. From them, both of them, muktaha bhavati. They are there. There is freedom. From what? No word does Shankara leave as ambiguous. Mukti log kisse kahenge? People have concepts of freedom and liberation. People have all kinds of ideas of what liberates them. Even people who do drug abuse think it is for their liberation. There are all kinds of philosophies that have risen in the world. There are acharyas who have developed a whole sampradaya on sambhog is liberation. A certain kind of a enjoyment is going to give you liberation. Shankara uses one word. What is that? हाँ, वो word समझने में हमें पूरा जन्म लग सकता है, वो अलग बात है. But Shankara says, muktaha means samsarat muktaha bhavati. You gain freedom from samsar. Now, what is that samsar is what you have to understand. That is the first chapter of the Gita, from where the whole Gita has started. उसी को संसार कहते हैं. That samsar which has a lakshana of what was Arjun's symptoms?
Vishad.
Vishad, shok and moh.
Oh,
दुख निवृत्ति. उसकी दुख की निवृत्ति के लिए ये पूरा ज्ञान दे रहे हैं कृष्ण. वो संसार है. Freedom from that samsar is what is the gain, prayojan for such a person. And now we have this little extra, very beautiful. As I said, why have I underlined this? This is an extra discussion. that Shankara brings in the next paragraph. He raises it. The verse is complete. If we have to, we should be moving on from here. But I'll just touch upon it a little. It is fairly deep in itself and needs a little more uh, reflection. But it's worth knowing the context in which he says. How Shastra Adhyanam takes us forward, even intellectually grows us. People say this is an intellectual knowledge. Accept it. It is an intellectual knowledge. But I need my intellect to develop also. Because मेरी बुद्धि आज कहाँ पकड़ी हुई है विषयों को मन को पकड़ के बैठी है. Even my buddhi doesn't have data that I can think correctly. So even if you say it gives you intellectual growth, accept it that we need intellectual growth also. Not that Shastra is alone giving us intellectual growth, but that intellectual growth is necessary for my reflection. Why? I'm repeating because I recently also heard someone say, no, 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 all this is so intellectual and it's the toughest thing to answer. Mostly we don't bother, but this is a class and you're all students wanting to learn. Therefore, I'm explaining to them, of course, it's intellectual, your wish. You can leave it if you don't want. Go find whatever inspires you is absolutely fine. But that intellectual point was what? This is how Shastra helps us understand. When you read the verse, if you just do the Moolam, and we didn't have the base of Bhashyam, we would not have understood clearly. Or let me put it this way. Oh, I wish I had done that first. You would have seen the opposite absolutely clearly then. He says, just the Moolam. अभी हमने शारीरम केवलम कर्मा कुर्वन को कैसे understand किया है? As Shankara has said. And what is it? Sharira sthiti matra prayojanam kevalam. He continues to do karma only for the sake of sustenance of the body. This is how we have understood this verse. But you remove this understanding for a moment and you just take the words in the Moolam. Shariram kevalam karma kurvan. What is the meaning of those words? If you take it in the literal sense as they are, it says doing only karmas that are based, that are body. मतलब शारीरिक कर्म. सिर्फ शारीरिक कर्म करते हुए जो कर्म करता है उसको किलबिशम नहीं मिलता. It would mean that Bhagwan is saying. That's a world of a difference in meaning. जो सिर्फ शरीर से कर्म करता रहता है उसको किलबिशम नहीं मिलता. He doesn't gain any papam. Do you see the difference first? I can see that Malini sees. Thank you. I do not know if the others are seeing. So I'm presuming everybody is seeing. Shariram kevalam karma kurvan. Forget the bhashyam that we have got the right meaning. The meaning would turn out to be for someone who doesn't have the base of this knowledge. और अगर आप कहो जी मैं सेल्फ स्टडी करता हूँ भगवत गीता की या मैं किसी और संप्रदाय में ये कहा because there are विशिष्ट अद्वैतम्स, there are द्वैतम्स, there are a lot of sampradayas who will give independent meaning according to their sampradaya. They will interpret this verse, the entire Gita, why just this verse? They interpret it from their sampradaya's philosophy. So what is that which can be interpreted or seen as केवल शरीर से जो कर्म कर रहा है? And that Shankaracharya over here gives amazing analysis. I don't even know if I'm qualified to take it up. But it's worth taking a few overview. Maybe later on, because it can take us a little away also. Later on, when we are revising, maybe we'll do the whole paragraph. But let us see just as an overview. This is the same. This is the Gita Press Gorakhpur Hindi translation. It will help us understand better than the English translation. So the book is the same, Gita Press Ki Jo Gita Hai with Shankar Bhashyam. That's the book we are following also. English translation is that. This is the Hindi translation. This is paragraph broken So this kind of gives us a overwhelming feeling because the whole thing is in Sanskrit, a huge paragraph. This breaks it up, and I've highlighted the reasons why there is a flaw in that interpretation. क्योंकि अगर आप उसको आप genuine seeker हो of knowledge, of moksha, and I didn't have Shankar Bhashyam with me, I can live a life saying that all my karmas that I do just by my body will give me no papam. I can have that knowledge, belief, understanding, and I can continue to act. There is a flaw in that approach. वो सोच गलत है. क्यों वो सोच गलत है? What is that flaw? Shankaracharya here puts, actually you can say them as 5 or 4. Fourth point has 2 subsets. They are reasons. I think we should do them when we are fresh, but I'll just touch upon them. The first one is Viruddha Abhidhanam Prasajyate. Prasajyate means it will give rise to Viruddham in the very Shastra's point. That's the first point. Second point is Aprapta Pratishedha Prasangaha. What is already not there, you are discussing that and you are negating it. So it will bring up the point of aprapta pratisheda prasanga. Next class we will summarize it first and then take the bhashyam as best as we can for us to get these reasons. If everyone wants it, we can bypass it if it gets too confusing. But I have to ask if you want it because it's an extra study. It is really for nididhyasan more than anything. For all of us, our clarity is in complete in the verse in itself because we've understood the right meaning. But if you want, it will help. Yes, okay. Anybody else? Anybody wants to say no?
No to the no.
No to the no. So yes to yes. So next class definitely we will try and do it. I'm just going to go over it a few more times myself so that the words that come out are clear. So that otherwise,
The first one I didn't understand. This
when we explain it, you will understand. At the moment, I'm just pointing out that these are the 4 things so that we'll start explaining in the next class.
Okay.
So it's like this is the first point, this is the second point. Wherever the highlight is there, Vang Manasa Nirvartyam Karma means mind and speech is going to be the context according to that. And then again, Anarthakam is the point. Bhagwan's words will become Anarthakam. So this is the broad outline, but definitely needs a fresher mind, and we'll take it up in the next class. Okay? Now that I have your permission to take it. Otherwise, I always keep feeling karna chahiye, nahi karna chahiye, karna chahiye, nahi karna chahiye. You make it confused. Though you people have said quite often, but I still feel people who are very, very new and listen to it, it gets overwhelming. But I'm glad all of us have moved into the Bhashyam and we have the Anugraha. So we'll do that next class. I think I'll end here. Okay. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayaha. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhave. Om Swasti Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं शोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः So thank you everyone, and sorry, I don't know if the Facebook is still not sorted. We are on it still. Zoom is trying to figure out. We have reached the point of trying to identify where is the flaw. It doesn't go on the Bhagavad Gita page. It doesn't go on the actual page where we've been going, which is made for this purpose. It goes on the timeline, but I don't want to use the timeline, Facebook timeline, because it's a very, I don't want to impose upon others' news feeds who are friends and families who may not be interested in Vedanta. So I do not want to go live on that personal thing. So for now, even going live over here on YouTube with the text is a little tricky. So I'm leaving it. If it gets resolved, today also Zoom has tried hard. Facebook is not answering. Why they have blocked the page, we do not know. So I hope they'll answer. They just keep saying someone's working on it. Till that time, I'm taking it as Ishwar's will. पहले भी वो will थी, why we broke into this kind of a sessions where Zoom is separate and Facebook and YouTube is separate. That was also Ishwar's command. I had no choice there also. I seem to be having no choice here also. It's the way it's working out. But we are glad we still have provision and we are still able to continue with it. So we'll keep to it till better options are seen. Here I'm restating, the links are there on the group. Whoever wants to can, whoever is comfortable here is also fine. Absolutely perfect freedom completely to everybody to pursue it their way. We have nothing, no say in it. I'm trying the best that is possible. Okay. So, recording still going on.
Recording stopped.
Should have stopped it. All right. So, thank you, everyone. Next class again. I'll send the message whether it's Saturday or Sunday. Again, I'm not sure. Just for another few weeks, I think, and then we'll be hopefully sorted. At least once a week, also, I think is good if you're able to keep the study as this, rather than having 2 days and not being doing justice. At least one day we are doing justice. I think the context is clearer with just once a day. That is something else I'd love your feedback on. If it's okay with all of you having once a week, we can continue. My idea of twice a week was that we can cover more ground, but I don't seem to have covered more ground. My original idea when I started Bhagavad Gita this time was by 2025 we should finish the study of the Bhagavad Gita. But knowing our known nature and the way we move into it, at that time Madhusudan Saraswati's bhashyams were nowhere in the picture. When I restarted these classes, at that time I thought, and everybody was fairly new in the people, and people had already studied till 4th chapter in the past, at least those who had studied. So I thought we'd cover it quicker. The ground will get covered quicker, and we will, by 2025, we'll finish Bhagavad Gita so that we can move forward and maybe next learn the next important thing. But the way I'm going, obviously 2025 is not the goal that's going to get completed. We'll do as much as we can. So therefore, once a week, if we are doing thorough, if it's okay with everybody, we'll send the message. We can keep to that also, because now time frame is not one of the contexts at all. We are freeing ourselves from the time frame. We are continuing to just do as good as we can, because for the spiritual path, Adhyatmik Gati, the Gyan is in the first part of the Gita. All this is for Adhyatmik Gati. for all of us in our sthiti, where we stand in our own proportions of our own avidya.
Even
The,
one verse is enough, right?
जी
Even one verse is enough. अगर
yes
वही समझ में आ जाए.
हाँ exactly, even one verse is enough अगर ठीक समझ में आ गया, life is taken care of after that, एक भी अगर समझ में आ गया तो. So I'm going to come back to that portion once a week, maybe, if we can. Keeps me more relaxed to do, not rush. Aram se we can do it. But I'll leave it to everybody. We'll send the message, okay? So thank you, everyone. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
next week. We'll reframe when it's Saturday or Sunday. Yeah? Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
God
Thank you
bless.
so much.
Hari Om, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.